Positive Filter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career with a little self-help around the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope that what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. Hey, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is Philip Wilkerson, a.k.a. Lil Phil, a.k.a. Prince of Positivity, a.k.a. I got Austin, Texas on my leg, and I'm back with another episode of Positive Filter. I am joined by a reoccurring guest who will be on multiple episodes because he's been contracted by being my mentor in Alpha. I don't know what contract I meant. I just meant I'm going to keep on asking him to be a guest on the podcast. Brother Kevin Glover. I think last time you were on the episode about 6 months ago, maybe a year or more, we discussed mentorship and you being a mentor to me. But now we're going to change gears. But before the listeners, go ahead and give a little introduction about yourself for the people that are listening to Positive Filter for the first time.
Okay. Well, greetings, everybody. As the infamous Ill Phil has stated, my name is Kevin Glover. I did bring this good person into the fold of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. A little bit about myself. I do hail from the great state of Georgia.
Yeah.
Been around this area for about 10 years or so. Hey, that's really all I can say at the moment, you know.
Okay. And now, Kevin is an HR expert. He's had multiple years in the business of human resources. And so we got to talking, and this is normally how all my topics come up is I have discussions with people. I say, hold up. This is too good. We're just talking, but it's too good. I need to get this on the podcast. And so I don't know how we randomly talked about it. We were looking up salaries randomly. I mean, my mind goes random places. I think I was just looking up what people make in higher ed, and Virginia Public Records. I'm gonna put the link in there. If you work for any state institution in the state of Virginia, your salary is public. Surprise, surprise to all you guys. And so I was just looking up what presidents of universities in the state of Virginia make, and it was
the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Commonwealth, and I was just quite. I'd say astounded. Is that a bad word, astounded?
You were
shocked, surprised,
taken aback
about how much money a university president makes, and how it's varied. So I had a lot of questions for Kevin. I was like, why, if they're doing essentially the same job, is it different pay and XYZ? And so I had to stop Kevin right there because I think we already had like a conversation about 15 minutes. I was like, yo, save all this good knowledge. Let's bring it on the podcast and we're going to talk about that. So Kevin, tell us a little bit of background about your experiences so far in human resources and how that kind of started for you, for the listeners.
Okay. So about my little background in human resources, I did major in it in college at Georgia Southwestern State University. Shameless plug, the only institution in the state of Georgia that has an HR undergrad degree.
Yeah, I was going to say that's very rare. You don't see very many undergrad HR. I see a lot of master's programs.
Exactly. So we're the only one in Georgia. Shout out to my professor, Dr. Liz Wilson, who's the dean of the School of Business down there. She will tell you she put our HR program up toe to toe with any D1 school, including Auburn, and she believes in us. So Go with that. But after that, I would say coming up here, worked in a whole lot of different industries. So I've seen HR from a lot of different perspectives.
Right.
From fast food, mass media, nonprofits, IT, contracting, and now state government. Mm-hmm. Throughout all of those times, dealing with different salary surveys, seeing different comp plans, and going through different levels of what recruiting is and all of that type of stuff, has allowed me to see how different industries pay and how different companies pay.
Right.
Which, of course, as we get deeper into this conversation, you'll see how that makes a difference.
It don't make no sense though, but it makes a difference.
It doesn't make sense, but it does make a difference.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that because that part doesn't make sense to me. So obviously it was part of the business school at your university.
Right.
What attracted you to that part of business rather than accounting or like finance or marketing or hospitality and management or whatever?
Well, accounting and finance. I like to control my money. Everybody else's money. Okay, you on your own. Ironically enough, for me, it would have been either HR or being a lawyer. Okay. But going into law takes a whole lot of money. It's a whole lot of years, etc., like that.
Yeah,
a lot of student debt that I was not willing to take on. HR is kind of a hybrid of that. You still have to know the law, still got to give out advice. But just like with a lawyer, either, hey, you take a lawyer's advice, and you got to pay them, whether or not you follow through with that advice. Same thing with HR. I give you advice, you got to pay me, whether or not you take the advice or not.
Right. And so you got into that. You studied that in undergrad.
Yep.
What was some of the actual like class topics? For instance, like finances, like managerial accounting, and financial accounting. What was some of the some of the titles of the classes that you took?
I mean, you had, because it was a business class, you took the basic stuff. You took accounting 101. You took org development, and things of that nature. Specifically with HR, you took compensation. Okay. Capstone class was like current issues in HR, which were current at the time, was like 2009, 2010, which was before the Affordable Care Act, which after that came about, it changed the whole game. Yeah. Which was another reason why I chose HR, is because it's always evolving.
Yeah, it is.
So things that I've learned in college, all of those things are not applicable anymore because the laws have changed.
Right, that's what makes sense.
Most of them are still applicable, but for the most case, a lot of things have changed.
And I'm assuming, I'm not trying to date you, but I am going to date you. Some of the stuff in the ethics class has probably changed too, right? Like, people getting fired for their social media and stuff like that, right? Because it was kind of developing, but now like people, whatever they tweet and all that stuff, like when you first studied it,
the aspect of the social media policy is new, but being terminated for that is not necessarily a new concept, because depending on where you work, with being an at-will state, you could be terminated for anything.
Right.
So social media was just a new aspect, but you could still be terminated for whatever. Like I said, you could be terminated for having a tattoo that somebody doesn't agree with.
Well, I hope people agree with Austin, Texas.
Well, somebody could be from Oklahoma, and they don't like Austin, Texas. They boom soon, and they're like, "Oh, you will hook 'em horns? No, get out my building. You're fired."
Well, I'm about to put that in my contract. You can't fire me for hook 'em horns. That's trash. But so we got into this thing, and we were debating, and we looked at the salaries of all these people, and I think quintessentially what it came down to, we're titling this episode "Know Your Worth." I was just so astounded that there's certain people that can do the same exact job, maybe even like day to day, same exact job, and they get paid more than someone else. And you said there was multiple factors to that. What were some of those factors?
Well,
and let's take them through the scenario. Like we said, we looked at a university president at one university, and we looked at a university president of another university. Both were in that state, so they're both state employees, and they got paid significantly different. What were some of the factors of why people get paid different with the same job?
Well, on the university aspect, I can't really say all the way the reasons why, but just looking at it, I can probably give you a good assumption as to why. Yeah, because it's not the locale of the university. Prestige does play a factor into it. Okay, because I do believe when we looked at it, Virginia Tech's president made the most.
No, it wasn't. Now it's VCU.
VCU's?
Yeah, he makes the most.
Okay, he makes
Tech's number 2 now.
Tech's number 2 now. Okay, well, I think it's a lot of factors. Some cases, I could say, depending on the athletic program, because you got athletic boosters and things of that nature.
Yes.
That could play a piece into it. The type of schools that are encompassed within the university, because
there's just certain colleges underneath
right,
it, like engineering and all the different programs.
Exactly, because we can't necessarily just say a student population, because if that's the case, George Mason's president will get the most, because George Mason is the largest university in the Commonwealth.
It's not per capita.
So, but
alumni.
Well, alumni prestige.
And you said the prestige,
right? Like the donation pools, endowments, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
That's what I would assume. But university pieces are so finicky.
Yeah.
So outside of university pieces, I can be a little bit better.
Okay. Well, how about just like you said, across industries, right?
Right.
And you say there's other factors like cost of living,
right.
How much it costs to live here, because we did that too. We kind of nerded out a little bit, and we looked at like the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and you can look up a salary in Virginia and look up a salary in Arkansas and see that they're different. The median is different.
Right.
They have that. They add the calculation of that. They also add in regards to calculation how much you get paid as how educated you are. Right. So if you have a master's or not. Where is this where is this magic formula at? Like who made this formula about like how much you deserve versus someone else?
It really just depends on the company, because some organizations contract out to third parties like Deloitte, Mercer, and people like that to do salary surveys to get more personal.
So who does the surveys? Deloitte does?
Deloitte does the surveys with clients that they work with. Because similar to like the Bureau of Labor Statistics, organizations get market surveys from the government and from organizations they belong to.
Yeah.
So all companies do not complete those surveys, because that's where your averages come from.
Yes.
So whether it's Bureau of Labor Statistics or Deloitte, they compile all that information and they show you what it is. Deloitte, because they're private, their information is more proprietary. So everybody does not see what Deloitte information does. Just like another example, when we get jobless numbers or payroll numbers, they come from ADP. ADP is not the sole payroll processor, but they're a large one. So it's really an average of things.
Who they serving? The employees?
Who?
I mean, who's filling out these surveys?
You're the HR department. And so, like, let's say my company, for example, I have everybody's salary. Yes. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics or Deloitte will say, okay, so what does an average elementary school teacher make? I'll pull down every elementary school teacher, divide up the average. This is what an average elementary school teacher makes in my school district. And then you basically do that for all of
districts in Virginia.
And then, of course, you add other features. Okay, so average elementary school teacher with this many years of experience, etc. So you go down like that.
They go deeper into the numbers.
Right, and that essentially imagine that process for all companies. Now, mind you, everybody does not fill that survey out.
Right. I don't fill out surveys. Like some people they try to get you to do the census. That's why we don't really know how many people live in America. So
with that same thing with the survey aspect, when let's say you start a job or start a company,
yes,
and you have certain positions, and you want to see, okay, so what's the market look like in my area? That's when you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and you look at different markets, D.C., Atlanta, New York, wherever, and you see the average of those positions. Now, the other piece that comes into that, you have this average. So then where do you fall into this spectrum? That's where your philosophy comes in as to, okay, I see in D.C. for this position the average is $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Do I want to match the market? So I'm right on the same level playing field. Do I want to be below that, or do I want to be above it?
And some people say they go below it so they get hired.
Right, but then you go below it, you take the risk of not getting the best talent or no talent at all. You hit the mid, you're right in there with everybody, but you're competing with everybody. But then also if you go high, you'll get the best talent, but then you'll also get people that will continue to go higher than what that mid salary is.
Yeah.
So there are pros and cons to everything. And so, like, for me, I came from a company that was a high market paying organization. which was good for me, but it was difficult when I decided to leave the company because I'm used to making more than the market. Right. And a lot of companies don't go above the market at such a high level. True. So you get used to it. And then when you go look for something else, and it's like, oh, well, our average is, $10,000 or $15,000 less than what you're making. And you're looking at like, oh, that's a big hit. But your company chose to lead the market when it comes to salaries.
Right.
So it's a company philosophy.
That's crazy. So, all right, let's just go back in time in a time machine, right?
True.
And we got like kings and queens, and they got all the money, right?
All
because we have a, monarchy, whatever. And then we move, skipping, whatever, oligarchies and all the different ones. And we get to capitalism, right?
Right.
Like the founding of capitalism and make your own money and was it laissez-faire and all that stuff. Like who thought that a doctor should make more than a teacher? Like when you think about originally, like we talked about this, you're getting paid per your skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who determines that someone that is working with their hands and cutting people open is more skilled? I mean, maybe, I don't know, than a guy that's building your house.
That's
right?
a good question.
And then additionally, who said in their mind, like a CEO that sits at a desk that types email should be paid more than a person that's managing knucklehead kids 9 to 5, like 20 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like who determined whose job is harder and what is more skilled or not?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. The other piece that I will add to that, just to kind of bring this into perspective, is, government, non-government. One job is a government job, except for private schools. Yeah. Another one is a private sector job where capitalism comes in. You name your price.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not that an individual person said that, a doctor should be making $300,000, because not all doctors make that money, but it's just the market of where you are, where you live. I mean, it's really, the government controls what teachers make. The government doesn't necessarily control what doctors make and what
I guess so, because most
doctors
well, I guess doctors go into business for themselves, right?
Essentially.
And they have their name on the building.
Right. Indeed. I mean, you teach unless you're in a private school, but when you're teaching, you're an employee of the state. And
they can set different things.
Yeah,
unless you work in a private school, which maybe pay you more, maybe
the private school may pay you more, but I mean, at the state level, you're at the mercy of your state assembly and what they decide they can pass, or your local school board and what your local tax rates are. So that's kind of what makes the difference. I mean, like we know, teachers up here get paid way more than teachers down in Southwest Virginia.
Yeah, but they still don't get paid a lot compared to the nation. And then there's like certain schools, like you said, in other states where teachers have to get another job.
Right. So
like they have to get like legit can't afford to be a teacher on one salary, which is nuts. And then, but I was saying with the nutty part about that, and maybe just the bigger picture part, is that who determined across the nation, even in the system or government, that teachers get this much when technically, if you really think about it in the realm of educators, they're literally the ones giving the little kids the start to even become doctors and lawyers in the future.
No, you're right, and that's a bigger question that has to be answered from a nationwide standpoint. So,
okay, who determines that? Governmentally, like who determines that?
Well, I mean, really, just like with any type of HR policy, it's lawmakers. Speaking to representatives. I mean, speaking to those people that control those types of things. Like, for example, I would think, like where we are here, if teachers wanted to really push for that that extra money, you would go to like these school board meetings. That could mean, because your real estate tax goes to the local school board here. So you're raising taxes. Everybody doesn't want to raise taxes, but if that's the source of revenue to pay educators, that's what has to happen.
So it has to come from somewhere.
It has to come from somewhere. The only thing that Richmond could do is change up the benefits and things of that nature, because those are laws that are passed for different things.
Right.
Just like with us and our benefit plans, our retirement system, etc.
Yeah.
But your individual pay, that's based upon a local rate. The capital doesn't make that decision.
So have you ever seen like things where like systematically you've seen, because you look at so many different salaries across different industries, have you seen in bigger picture inequalities and things that you don't feel is fair?
Oh, of course. There's a whole lot of things.
What do you do with that mentally when you see unfairness?
Well, in my field, you have to hold it, because you know, until you can get to a point of making change, then there's nothing that you can do at a low level. Like, for example, the big thing now for most corporations is diversity and inclusion.
Yes, 100%.
You know, I've been in companies where you could see somebody sitting in a desk doesn't really do anything, similar to what you were stating earlier, and you're doing the brunt of everything, and all they're doing is just clicking in a spreadsheet.
Yes.
But they're making $95,000 a year just to type 1212 in the spreadsheet, and you're out here running around in-person meetings with all these supervisors, managers, etc., and you're only making 65.
Yes.
So you're wondering, well, why am I doing so much work and they're only just doing the same 1212
That's
thing?
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So, but are they rewarding longevity? Has this person been here forever? Which in some cases, a lot of people have been with a company for so long.
This is their encore job. They just gave them the like golden ticket.
They just give them,
quote unquote, put in their dues.
Right. They're just giving them the money because they've been there for so long. They don't have to really do anything like that. Oh, you know, this person's been here for 25 years.
Gotcha. That's one factor.
That's one factor. It doesn't necessarily make it right, but also at the same time, depending on who the manager is, how the company is, you know, you come in, you have the knowledge, you have, you know, all the new things that could be done to help propel this company forward, but you're new to the game. I've been here for 25 years. There's no way you should be making more money than me. And some employees will tell their manager that if somebody comes in making more than I do,
I'm leaving,
or I deserve more money because I've been here longer.
So a lot of dynamics there.
There are a whole lot of dynamics, and it doesn't necessarily make it right. Just like with the diversity aspect of it, I work for a company where we've done unconscious bias training so we could have fair hiring practice. If somebody meets these qualifications, regardless of who they are, what they look like, what their gender is, or whatever, they make it through the first round of interviews.
Yes.
And you hire the most qualified person. Because it still goes on today where, oh, well, I'm gonna hire my friend over here, and I'm going to just give them some more money because I know they've gone through some rough times and they need the job.
Oh,
That's
wow.
another reason why there's inequality with pay. So
it's because of the not separation of emotion to skills.
So an HR can't control everything because depending on how hiring practices go, HR posts the jobs, we recruit for the jobs. The managers are the ones that ultimately hire.
Yeah.
And depending on your structure, if the manager just has direct hire authority where they don't have to go through HR to approve anything, then they'll hire them for whatever.
Well, I think we try to protect ourselves at universities by doing so many like search committees and like
but we're a state institution. You have to be because you're dealing with taxpayers' dollars.
We have to do like a cross-disciplinary committee and go through all these phone calls and screenings and stuff like that.
Most companies that are government or deal with government entities have to show that they have done their due diligence and they've done everything fairly and equitably. Right. Private companies do not have to follow that, which is why there's a disparity, which is why private sector employees get paid a lot more than public sector employees to do the same thing.
Wow. Now, this is the bigger existential question again. We already discussed about knowing your worth and skill. How come there is still pay inequality for gender and race in certain aspects? And you think that is foundationally because of just, I don't know. I look at it like, quite honestly, that I don't know how they did this numbers, but how women get paid like 75% what men get paid. All this, how does that? Is it just generationally it happened over time? And you saying like these men have been grandfathered into these salaries, And so now these new women are coming into the industry.
Yeah.
And they're not getting paid.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what it is. Like look at the HR field, for example. HR years ago was a male dominated field. HR is majority women right now.
Yes.
But again, goes back with your company culture. HR can show like, look, we have an inequality problem. We have a diversity problem. We have a pay equity problem.
Yeah.
Like I stated before, I chose this field because I will tell you what the deficiencies are and how we can improve upon them. It is up to you to decide whether or not you take my advice. And when I say you, that's upper management.
Yes.
Your upper management is still predominantly male. If
Yes.
you do not have buy-in from your upper management, nothing gets done.
That's true.
So I could show you all the days that, like, hey, Phil, we have a problem with paying women an equitable pay compared to their male counterparts. We have an issue hiring diverse candidates. If you look at it like, oh, well, I think we're fine. I see all of these people in my office right now. Right. And you think that's perfectly fine. If you don't want to go with it, then I'll say, okay, well, I have showed it to you.
And you got to keep your job, and you got to keep your foot on your plate, too.
But then if you're a government contractor and the question, somebody files a complaint and you say, oh, well, I did not know about this, and they asked for our records, you'll see the HR record where your HR person showed you that you had these issues and you have these on file. So why haven't you done anything?
They can get in. So state versus private. There's a little bit more. There's a little bit more.
The only time
checks and balances.
Right. The only time private will have all those checks and balances is if they're a government contractor, because you have to meet certain requirements in order to be eligible for those contracts.
Gotcha. So that makes sense. I mean, I got in a discussion, and I was trolling my friend, though. I'm probably going to troll the internet. I'm probably going to get shaded for this.
Might get shaded from here?
I think that men and women should be paid the same, except for sports. And this is where I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. Now, the only reason why I'm going to get in trouble, like, for instance, the women, shout out to them. They won the World Cup. They should be paid more than the men because they're champions, and they got – I think it should be based on ticket sales and how much money you want. I think it should. I think sports should be, like you said, the money. Where's the money coming from? It should be based on where the money's coming from and viewership and sponsorship and all that stuff.
Right.
So, for instance, my big thing is someone was saying women in the WNBA should get paid the same as guys in the NBA, and I'm going to say that's my caveat of no. It should be like, do they fill up the arena? They sell all them tickets? How much money does the WNBA have as an organization to pay them? So I think that they should get paid based on, those factors that you said.
Right.
On the flip side, I think women, a lot of women, or not a lot, but women that are entertainers make more than men because it's based on their album sales and how many venues. Because Beyonce makes more than Jay-Z, correct?
I would say so. I would put a caveat on what you said about the entertainers, but I would, yes.
I mean, if you are a top dollar female artist, you are bringing in the money to get paid more than the men because you're filling up arenas. Your album is selling a lot. You're bringing in the money to get paid as such. But in the WNBA, I literally have gone to a Mystics game, and no shade to the Mystics. I think you're great. I think they're wonderful. But there's empty seats. They don't fill out all the seats.
Okay, so that's apple and oranges between the two. I get your point.
Yeah.
But the artists and the players, that is an apple and oranges type of discussion.
Let's bring that.
And the reason why I say that is because with the WNBA, it is a subsidiary of the NBA. Okay. So now I do agree they do not bring in the seats and all of those things. That aspect I do agree with you on.
Yes. How
their revenue sharing and things of that nature are worked out, I do not know. But I will say that is the benefit of those unions. While the NBA has players unions, I believe the WNBA may have one as well. I'm not sure. But that's why all those people have unions. And even flipping back to the private sector, which is why I'm an HR person and I technically do not like unions, but I know that's the benefit of the union because those are the people. They're the ones that can make those changes.
Okay.
But coming back to the artist aspect of it, it's different because you could have a top tier A+ female artist and a
Yes.
top tier male A+ artist,
Yeah.
and the male will get more money because they are the male. Now,
okay.
Beyonce
Yeah.
does bring in more than Jay-Z. I do agree with that, but Beyonce is also out there more than Jay-Z as well. You
She's
see,
working-
you
she's
see
working
her a
harder.
lot more.
She's working
Right.
harder.
Not taking anything from Beyonce. I'm not taking anything from Jay-Z. But if you were to put those two together and they were not married,
Yeah.
as an individual, even with all of Beyonce's doing, and they both were trying to do the same thing, Jay-Z is going to get more money. Because even if you look
okay.
at the female actresses compared to male actors,
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
the same thing. You
That
have
is-
a high quality female actress
Yes.
making peanuts compared to the male counterpart.
true.
Like,
Like,
look at
we should-
Empire.
We should. I think if we did look at a study of like the Oscar-winning actress of
Right.
a movie and an Oscar-winning male actress or actor of
Actor.
a movie,
Yes.
actor of a movie, and see what they're paid for that movie, I bet it would be different.
Right. It's very different. I mean, I've heard the same thing with male and female comics. Great female comedians get paid pennies compared to their male counterparts.
That is true.
And the females could be a lot funnier. Some of them are a lot funnier.
That's
but
true.
it's a society thing.
Okay, so I mean, that's like really, it's a societal thing, and maybe this is where I'm getting trolling and stuff. Okay, like who's the best WNBA player? Candace Parker? I don't know. Do you think she should get paid the same as LeBron?
No.
So, because that's what I think I saw articles like they were complaining, like the female athletes were saying they're, but here's the flip side. If you look at the league minimum of like a guy that's just on the bench
Right.
to the WNBA league,
Right.
minimum, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
And I don't know if that's not fair or not. So how do we do?
My
I mean,
thing
it's
is,
crazy.
there should be a minimum because I mean, one, LeBron James has a supermax. Will be getting a supermax contract of
Yes.
however many $100 million
Yes.
or whatnot.
Yes.
You know, it should be equitable. I do agree, but I don't like dollar for dollar in that aspect. You know,
Yes.
like we were talking about with factors should come into play.
Yes.
So now, could we do a better job promoting them to where they could do more? Yes.
Yeah, or find a better way to fill out more seats or something.
Well, I mean, but like even take the Mystics for example. Most of the WNBA plays in the same arena as the regular NBA. The Mystics, for example, got a smaller arena. They're playing over there in St. Elizabeth's now because they don't play at Cap One anymore.
Hold up, what?
Yeah, the Mystics moved.
Where have I been? They moved?
You the one talking about you went to a game. You ain't know they moved.
I haven't gone to a game in a minute. I ain't
Okay,
gonna lie.
so thank you for clarifying. That.
Yeah,
Yes,
so they moved.
The Mystics don't play down in the city downtown. They play in Southeast. They play at a smaller venue.
Oh my goodness, that makes a difference.
Right. So I mean, like if you right size everything and you
Yeah.
put everything together,
Right.
and you actually look at everything for what it is, then yeah, they
Right.
could be more equitably paid because
Right.
somebody can come back and say, well, the Mystics are playing in the Capital One Arena. They're only filling up, the lower bowl, but I
Yeah.
got this huge arena that I got to pay for. I got all these people that are working in this massive arena.
Yeah.
There's all the money right there. You put them in a smaller venue where it's more appropriate for them, then you can't really make that argument.
I mean, there's cost to the lights and all that, and
Right. And I mean,
it's overhead.
It's a lot.
It's a venue. You have to pay for the venue.
And I mean, those are easy ways out of things. Versus, you could say that you can't make the same argument about LeBron or whomever else because, you're in Staples Center in L.A. Staples Center sold out. I got season ticket holders out the ass.
Yes.
I got merchandise that's ridiculous.
His jersey, all that stuff.
Right. So I mean, I can say like, yeah, I could pay him all this money because he's going to bring me all this money in return.
Right.
So,
But but on the flip side, as a revenue thing, I totally agree. Like, I don't know what the minimum is for the women's U.S. soccer team, but they actually won a world championship.
Right. I mean,
compared to other things. So I think that like one of the main factors should be performance on the world stage and what are you doing? Are you winning?
Right.
Stuff like that. But it's just
And then the women's national soccer team, they should make more than the men because they have the best-selling jerseys. They have the highest TV revenues.
Yes,
so
the TV and all that stuff. Right.
So everything that I said about the pieces coming together, they fit all those pieces. So for them not to get that money is ridiculous because they meet all of those things.
That's when you I think that taking a objective, non-gendered viewpoint and saying, I think looking at all the variables and factors as what they are, like you said, the most qualified candidate, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, all that, that that part, if you can remove that emotional part and say, are they doing X, Y, and Z, they should get paid X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
But as we know, that doesn't happen because certain things are grandfathered in patriarchal, male-dominated society kind of thing. And it's just been what it is.
I mean, what it ultimately comes down to is the love of money. It's greed.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. People know what the right thing is to do, especially when it comes to compensation, because you know you can't live off of this amount of money.
Yeah.
Just like when they talk about the salaries of CEOs making 66,000 times what their lowest paid person is.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I used to watch that show Hidden Boss. That joint's trash because Hidden Boss, they legit don't even know what their workers are doing, and then they go and do their job for one day and dang, this is really hard. And then I was like, this dude is getting paid buku money and doesn't even know what the person does day to day. Because
those people like that are groomed. And like I said, in private companies like that, it's real easy to do, especially if it's a family-owned company. If you had a family-owned business, you scrape the ground and got everything that you need, but I'm pretty sure you're not going to have your child go through everything. You're going to sit them down and say, look, this is what you need to know. This is how the business runs. This is what you need to do. They're not going to be in the weeds like that. You may put them in there briefly, but they're not going to be in there for 20, 30 years like you had to get where you got. You may put them in there for a year or two so they can see it, and that's it.
I don't know if that's... I mean, I love your story, but I think at the same time, then I'm really personalizing in my head. If I had to grind that hard, I became a CEO of 5 Guys, but I started on the fry machine, right? Mm-hmm. And I became a rich millionaire. I don't think I'd want my kid to... I kind of want him to do some fries,
but it's not going to be the same.
But I don't want him to do fries as long as I did.
Exactly.
Because the point of making a life for yourself is making a life for your next generation. So it's kind of like that two-edged sword. You're right. You hold on to that money. Mm-hmm. You hold on to that money in power and you want to transfer it to your kids with the hope that they don't have to work as hard as you did.
Exactly.
But then at the same time, by doing that and holding it on, someone's got to not get it. Right. It's a limited resource.
It is a limited resource. And and it's not saying that you need to give everybody every dollar or anything like that. Right. It's just people just need to be more conscious about what's going on. You know for a fact, this is not a cheap place to live.
No.
So the fact that anybody, and I've seen this working in fast food, the fact that anybody has a job that pays $7.25 in the Metro DC area is ridiculous.
I don't know how you live
because
off of that.
You can't. I've had people where I was doing their HR. They working for minimum wage. They got garnishments coming out of their check. They have so many things coming out because they can't afford to live. They don't get a paycheck. They go to work just so their paycheck is zero.
You literally seen someone zeroed out on a paycheck?
Yes.
The legit thing was
legit
FICA, all that, zero.
Mm-hmm.
It literally just went somewhere else.
Yeah, because you got child support, all sorts of stuff.
I was about to say child support,
and some of these people older than you and I have to rent a bed because they can't afford because there's so much responsibility.
That's like a life trap, though. They're never gonna get out of that hole.
Exactly. And they go to court as much as they can to claim a hardship with the judge, and the judge will reduce it, but they don't make enough to support themselves. So they go to work for all their money to go away.
Damn, that sounds real blower.
It is. But there are a lot of people like that around here.
And I was about to say something like you said, greed, right? And holding on to stuff. But at the same time, that's what capitalism is.
It is capitalism.
Because, as we understand, it's a limited resource. Mm-hmm. And meaning limited resource means if I have, someone does not have, right? It's it's equal. Like if we have a pie, like if you cut the pie into different pieces, certain people are going to get different pieces.
Exactly.
And unless we're socialists, and then we cut the pieces in evenly, right? But on the flip side is then we have this weird thing going on in America in regards to capitalism and money, is that we want to reward hard work and tenacity and all that stuff and want to get paid for it. But then at the same time, then we have to say, like, if you work harder, you should get paid more than this person that doesn't work as hard. But then, like, someone does work really hard in the American system, like breaks their back hard, and they still don't get paid. So it's kind of like a not a hypocritical thing, but it's not. I don't think the message is the same, right? The American dream message is not equal to everybody.
It's not, and then that message is not the same because, like what you stated, a second ago about rewarding somebody for their work, depending on their level, in the organization and their level of expertise. Like if you are a high level manager and you're doing all sorts of stuff, I wouldn't expect your production to be the same as a mail clerk, but you're a manager. Like you should not be, able to stuff like 500 letters in an hour. Like I wouldn't. That's not good enough for you. That's not your role anymore. You need to be doing, as you progress in your career, your responsibilities and level of involvement need to progress as well. That's my take on this. Yeah. And even with the, like you said, with the capitalism and socialism aspect of it, I do believe that if I bring something unique to the table, I should be compensated for it. I do believe that because, just like with everybody else that has gone to college and gained, years of experience, you should be paid for that because, like you said, you've worked your way through this and you have shown certain things. Yes. Whereas there are people that come in with no experience. You have the degree, but you don't have any experience behind it. The most jobs do require experience. Yes. But you coming in making more than somebody that has 10 years of experience. You're like, well, wait a minute. This is their first job. They're coming in basically doing the same thing that I'm doing. Why are they making more? So
with some examine, so that's what we had to examine. Yeah. So let's end this on more upbeat, positive filter note. But let's learn, what are some things the viewers can do to evaluate your worth? Like, for instance, one of the things, shout out to my supervisor, what she wants me to do now is if every time I do something well, or I'm doing like a workshop or a presentation or an award, she wants me to open up a Google document and just start writing down stuff to keep track of all my accomplishments.
Your performance review.
Well, she she knows it's a performance review, but she also just wants me to have it in general for trying to stunt on awards, or if I ever try to run for something. I told you, I got my resume for certain other things where I'm keeping track of my accomplishments. Yes. So that I know when I want to say my worth, I can say, excuse me, Mr. X, Y, and Z, these are the things I've done, and these are some proven ways, and over time, to kind of like build up a resume. And then you're going to do a real resume, but just also accomplished resume. What are some things that you can tell the listeners to do to evaluate their worth?
Well, you have to be able to represent yourself. Similar to what your supervisor said right there, too. You see that you're doing hard work. Your supervisor sees that you're doing hard work, too. But not all supervisors are going to say, oh, well, Phil's working real hard. Let me give him some more money. Yeah. Some supervisors will say that, well, Phil's working hard. He hasn't really said anything about his role and responsibility, so I guess he's content. Yes. So you need to be your own. You need to be your own advocate. Yes. But now, doing that, you need to make sure, like in your case, you have things to back it up. So don't just say, I deserve more money or I deserve the promotion. You had nothing to show for it. If you do that, you can say, well, look at what I've done. I did this project, led it well. We got this done. Show some metrics, show some numbers, show some, company awards or recognitions from other supervisors, something. But you need to be your own advocate for one. At least salary-wise, compensation is a very funny subject with a lot of companies. Some people don't like to talk about their salaries and things of that nature. Right. But if you are in the job market,
Yes.
and you are looking at things like that, it Glassdoor, salary.com, all of those things are decent. I wouldn't hold that as the gospel, but I would look at those two things to kind of see what the range of salaries are for a particular role. And then, like I said, also go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics to get like a third thing and kind of just see what all three look like to get you a good average.
Right.
And then kind of, depending on where you are searching for work, you know, give yourself a little inflated cushion. Or if you want to just go in at what the market says, then go straight in at it at that way.
Yeah, well, let's put on our career counseling hat. No, so one of the hardest things I talk to students is about their first job out of college and salary negotiation. It gets a lot of kids nervous because they've never done it before.
Right.
And we drop some facts. And let me just ask this feedback. I tell them, I say, when they get an offer for a job, I say, ask them first, is this salary firm or open to negotiation? And then if they say open to negotiation, then you have the power to ask for whatever, X, Y, and Z. If they say it's firm, they should just drop it and then really evaluate whether they're going to accept the job or not.
Right.
Would you agree with that advice, or what's some advice that you would give in that situation? Because that's the one I get a lot about.
I would,
students, especially out of their first job.
I would, and we didn't hit this, but I remember seeing this. I would look at the total compensation, and when I say total compensation, I would look at the salary and the benefits, because salary itself is only one piece of your compensation. Your benefits make up another piece. So if your salary is high, but you have crap benefits, then that may not be good, because the extra money that you will be making on your salary, you're going to be paying for medical expenses or whatever else.
Right.
So if that were the case, I would ask for a little bit more, so it could actually really be a salary bump. Whereas if the salary is decent, but your benefits are amazing, take it.
Okay.
Now, as far as negotiations and things like that are concerned, outside of looking at total compensation, especially for a first job, I would kind of look at the market again with those different websites to kind of see, like if you were an IT specialist with 0 to 1 year of experience working for, I don't know, a retail company, you know, what does that look like? And kind of see where your salary falls within the national salary for that particular area in that particular field. That's what I would do.
Lord. I mean, so, okay, how about this? I'm going to be totally transparent. When I started my first job, I just took a salary, and I didn't even look, because I don't even know what the hell I was looking at when I look at, like, healthcare and all that stuff. How does someone know what's good healthcare plan or not? Like, let's put ourselves in a 22-year-old's shoes, 23-year-old.
Well,
they don't know what they're looking at.
You're right.
They're looking at the number, and
you're
looking
right.
at the number. They don't need to. Oh my goodness, this is so great dental plan. I'm going to get my teeth fixed.
No, you're absolutely right, and your HR person will not tell you what's good and what's not.
And I was about to say, what they do is they take you to that one orientation job.
You're right, but that's because legally we cannot, because it has to be what's best for you and your situation.
They did say that one time.
Now,
they gave you like advice, but they said, I can't tell you what to pick. And I was like, tell me what to pick. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We can't doubt in this setting. What I would suggest, because again, health plans have changed since I first came into the field. A lot of companies have gone to consumer-driven health plans, high deductible plans with like HSAs and things of that nature. If you are not a sickly person, I would strongly encourage you going and taking the high deductible plan with the HSA if it's tied to it, because an HSA is similar to like a debit card. Some companies will actually give you money because it lowers their cost for you being on the plan, because you pay more out of pocket. But if you're not sick, then you just keep putting money on the HSA card, whether it's $10 a paycheck or whatever, and that money stays with you no matter where you go, no matter which company you work for. If you have a medical related expense, eyeglasses, medicine from the pharmacy or whatever, you can swipe that card. And like I said, a lot of companies give you $500 to $1,000 a year just for being in the plan. So that's free money you could take right there. And then you can change the plan every open enrollment. So if you do find yourself going to the hospital a little more, get out the high deductible plan. Go into something that's a little more feasible, like an HMO or a PPO, but you still have that HSA card. So whenever you have copays, swipe the card. Like in my case, my company gave me a lot of money. I'm still using it. When I go to the eye doctor or the dentist, my company is paying for those deductibles. I'm not paying for that.
Oh.
Swipe the card. Swipe the card.
Oh, okay. I mean, I might need to just talk to someone, like, because like sometimes I feel like they take you to the orientation. You gotta make a decision right there.
They do.
I feel like this is really helpful for me in like the after effect.
Well, I have offered my services to you, sir.
Well, I'm not going when I get a new job, which hopefully not, because I love my job now.
You could, but even with open enrollments.
Okay, well, I'm gonna do that when it's open because I don't know what I'm doing. And also the retirement thing is a big one too.
Yes,
about money and matching and all that stuff, which we can do a whole episode on. But I think it's a total package where we need to tell the kids slow down.
Well, yeah, but now
who they should talk to?
Well, now let me tell you this though.
Find an uncle in HR.
I'll tell you this though: if there is a retirement plan, I don't care what age you are, please, ma'am, please, sir, contribute to your 401k or 403b. Do not leave free money on the table.
That's what they always say.
If the company matches, take advantage of it. Yes. It will reduce your tax liability, so you won't pay more at the end of the year. Yeah. Take advantage of your retirement plan.
I learned that too late, y'all. Well, I learned too late, but I'll learn it now. You should learn that. You should do this when you're 22.
Yes. Please, again, please, ma'am, please, sir. You don't have to know what plan to put it in. They have target date funds.
Yeah.
Just throw it in a target date fund. Forget about it. Just
set it and
do it. Yes.
Maggie did very well with that. I didn't. So
that's why you married her.
Yeah, she's smart. I mean, I actually need to add that to my life lessons list. I have a list of things that she's done to help me in my life.
That's so sweet.
I'm almost to 100. I mean, some of this, it's very sweet, but some of these are very sad. Like, they're basic life skills.
Well, Phil, I hope you know how to wash your own posterior.
That one was not normal, but, like, did you know you were supposed to tip bartenders?
Who doesn't know that?
I didn't until I was 23. So
the hell you been doing?
For 2 years, I would just get my drinks and just bounce.
2 years? Oh, you
did? I found out in college. No, she told me this a long time ago. I do it now. I do it all the time now. I'm talking about when I was in college. I had when I turned 21, I found out in 23. So I had 2 full years of me not tipping bartenders.
You're such a terrible person.
Maggie, that's what Maggie said, word for word.
Yeah, that is awful. Did you tip waiters and waitresses?
Yes, I did. But I was at the bar. Like, I got the drinks. These are life lessons that my wife taught me. Similar to make sure that you save money.
Oh, my word.
So shout out to Maggie, always, every episode.
Oh, my.
So we're at the part, we got some good content. We're at the part of the show, we call it Shot for Shot. You get to ask me a random question, I ask you a random question. Do you want to go first or I go first?
You go first. I'm still trying to process this. I haven't tipped until I was 23 type thing.
Well, that was only 2 years, man.
I don't care. I mean, if you were in college, I understand because we used to drink out of plastic bottles and things like that.
That's why I did it. I didn't tip them when first I turned 21. I was very excited. I turned 21, and then I went to a couple bars, and then it was in the a year in, I didn't tip them.
Again, you're still such a terrible person, but okay.
Yes.
All right. So what you got?
And no one's just gonna go on the couch. All right. So, you did just formally announce that you picked. Now, this episode is coming out during the beginning of basketball season, so you still have time to change your mind. This episode is in the future. We're in the summer. I'm releasing this episode in the fall. But you did describe that you have a new basketball team. Yes. First of all, the question is, you're going to say who your new basketball team is. What happened to your old basketball team, and why did you pick this new basketball team? And for the listeners, the backstory of this.
So the last team that I cheered for back in 2007, 2008 was Phoenix Suns. That was my last team.
2008?
2007, 2008. Steve Nash, Sean Marion, Amari, Sotomayor.
Okay, that was a squad.
It was. So I stopped watching the NBA for about 10 years.
When you say stop watching it, did you mean like just
no
games at all, or just if it was on TV?
It was no games at all. I did not have a team. If the finals were on TV, I may have watched one game, but
okay.
I
agree with that.
I was not a fan of anybody.
Just not active in basketball.
Yes, so I took a hiatus because the NBA was fixed. It's rigged.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man, we gotta do another podcast about that.
So yes,
you're not the first person to tell me that the theatrics of sports is rigged.
Well, no,
I have a friend. I have a legit friend that says all major sports events are rigged.
Well,
and then he says for gambling.
That's true. But I have proof.
He's a conspiracy
because now I won't say I'm a conspiracy theorist, but 2 games made up my mind. 2002 Western Conference Finals, because at that time I was a Sacramento Kings fan, and they played the Lakers in Game 6 in Sacramento.
Well, that's isn't that like a real 30 for 30 about that?
There is, because that game was fixed. The second one with the Phoenix Suns, Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals with the San Antonio Spurs, when both benches cleared, and they only suspended Robert Horry from the Spurs, but they suspended the majority of the starting 5 from Phoenix. But the Spurs players did the same thing. And if you recall, in 2008, Tim Donahue got convicted of fixing games. What games did he get convicted for?
Those ones that you said. So I mean,
so that vindicated me, and I was like, again, the NBA was fixed, so I stopped watching it. That's why I stopped. Okay. Now,
you think all major sports, not just the NBA? Because
because I do believe
that dude get caught. He got caught. So I mean, that proves the NBA is.
Now I do believe, and for all these New Orleans fans, I don't care. That Super Bowl when they played the Colts, that was fixed because of Hurricane Katrina. I don't care what nobody says. They gave them that game.
I do agree that there has been times where, like, it's like super patriotic or something, and then the Patriots win. You're like, oh my god, this is for America,
right?
All right, so, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. Like, I'm not trying to like look at sports and then before you know it, I got newspaper clippings.
No.
Strings
I'm not that deep with it because I still watch the NFL. I still say that game was fixed. So and they owed the Colts. So you see the Colts won soon after with Peyton, because you have never seen Peyton play that bad in his prime like that. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I ain't going to, because you said we can go to a whole nother episode about that.
You were jaded by that, and you said I'm not gonna watch the basketball,
right?
Which I mean, whatever, because. Like you said, I'm a local guy, DMV, so I really have nothing to care about.
Hey, whatever.
So then, what made you want to return to basketball?
Well, because ironically, I did see the Toronto Raptors play, and that kind of like restored my faith a little bit. Like,
you didn't think it was fixed?
Well, I mean, because everybody was rooting for Golden State. I have nothing against Golden State. But it's like I like the underdog type of thing. So like I didn't care who was going to win, but when I saw Toronto, I'm like, okay, they did something, they accomplished something. So it's kind of like, all right, so the scrappy team can still win.
All right.
So with that being said, I thought to myself, let me get back in the NBA, but who should I cheer for? I wasn't gonna do no cliche teams, so I wasn't gonna go with the Lakers. I did get some people say, maybe you should go with the Knicks. Why?
That's like the opposite of
right.
That's the opposite.
But that was a suggestion.
That's a dead dog.
That was a suggestion by one of your frat brothers too. Yes. So the Knicks was one, the Hawks,
that's fine.
Miami, and there was another team I can't remember. But I thought about it a little bit. I was like, so what team was I really rooting for back in the day when I was really watching it? And I said, you know what? My first 2 teams were the Kings and the Bulls.
Okay.
So I looked at the Kings. I would have loved to go back with the Kings, but I said, no, not really. Then I looked at Chicago. I remember my visit to Chicago. Chicago, like I said in my status, is a great city that has a bad rep. Passionate fans, like you feel Chicago pride. You feel the energy in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know what? I'm going to go back to where I started. I'm going to rock with the Bulls. So that's why I chose the Bulls.
Who's even on their team? I don't even know who's on there.
I mean, look, they got my boy Kobe White from North Carolina. So, hey, that's a start for me.
Last person I remember for them that was starting was Jimmy Butler, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. I mean, they had Derrick Rose. Granted,
I
don't like Joakim Noah, so I mean,
they had Lou
all day. I like Lou all day.
He's not there no more. So.
He's not in it. But the fact of the matter is, I do need to learn about my new team.
I need to learn about them too because I don't even know who they are.
Well, listen, they got Kobe White from North Carolina, and I'm a Tar Heels fan, so
Me too.
I'm good.
Go Heels. I like
That's
Tar
right.
Heels. All right.
And go Braves.
I hate Duke.
Who likes Duke?
A lot of people.
Why?
I don't know.
They're called the Devils.
Yes.
I mean, we have a devil in the White House, so they don't like the devil.
You'll be blessed. You know what I'm saying? I'm the chaplain. Amen. All right. So, what's your random question for me?
Lord. I mean, you already answered the random question earlier, but let's talk about Austin. Why? What happened?
I love it. It's the best city in the United States.
That ain't what I mean.
I can't give the full story. I'm just gonna say the story is, I love the city so much, and I was very, very in love with the atmosphere, the music, the culture.
What was your favorite song that you heard?
I don't know. It was country music. I don't even know country music. It was like a dude singing.
You said you loved the music. How
How about this? I love the tacos, and I know what tacos are, and I ate them. Yeah. So I would say though that if your random question about what happened in Austin is referring to this tattoo on my leg, is the coordinates of Austin, Texas, which I love. It's a great city, and if I could go back in a time machine, I would go to University of Texas. Hook 'em horns. Maybe. I don't know. But the main thing I took from that was that it is one of my top 5 cities in the United States.
It's one of your top 5, so what are the other 4?
Other 4, New Orleans,
Okay,
Austin, Denver.
You like Denver because you can get high legally?
No, I mean, I like mountains and nature. And the people are very nice. Maybe that's why they're nice. I don't know. But they're very nice there.
I would think so.
And I need to go. Let me see. I like, it's not really a city. Monterey, California.
Monterey is a city.
Okay.
My mother is from Monterey. What's wrong with Monterey?
I love it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's one of the top 5. I mean,
okay, that's 4.
I like San Francisco, but I like Monterey better.
Okay, I'm about to say now.
So that's 4.
That's 4. Don't talk bad about Monterey.
I know. I love Monterey. It's the most beautiful place I've ever been.
All right, I'll take sure I tell her.
I mean, and then Atlanta. I just threw that in there because.
Oh wait, Wolf! Do not diminish Atlanta, Georgia.
I think Atlanta has a lot of fun things to do.
It does have a lot of fun things to do.
One of being its blue fame. The listeners don't know what that means, so it don't matter. Someone knows what that means. I'm not going to explain what that means, but I love the establishment and the people and the culture of Atlanta.
The establishment of Atlanta, really?
The establishment of Atlanta.
Lord Jesus.
But no, those are all my top cities. I can give you a reason why. Denver, for real, the people are very nice. It's very casual. Even professionals chill. Probably because, marijuana's legal.
True.
New Orleans, like I said, I love to visit. I love the food. I love the culture. I love the music.
There's really no explanation for New Orleans. I get
it's a big party. Like all these places that are party places like that. I love the culture, but for me, knowing myself, I probably wouldn't survive there. Meaning, like,
it's too hot for you.
No, I mean, like, I'd probably be broke and drunk. I mean, the boundaries. It's too fun. There's too much to do.
Your recommender is there. He'll probably take care of it.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? And then Austin, very nice people, culture, art. It's like very hippie. I love that. I love art. I love food. I love tacos. I love nice people. What was my other one? Monterey. It's probably the most beautiful. I went to Pebble Beach. Mm-hmm. Probably the most beautiful view I've ever seen. It was real chill. I would live there, but California is probably one of the most expensive places in the world.
It is the most expensive state in this country.
Yeah, like San Francisco is astronomical. I actually like San Fran, but it's astronomical. What was the other one I said?
ATL show.
I said already Atlanta.
But you didn't.
Music, culture, food. I love trap music.
Who's your favorite trap artist?
Currently?
Just period. Not currently, just period.
Juicy J.
Juicy J from Atlanta.
I know, just saying. He's not trap. And Jeezy.
Okay, I can get with Jeezy.
Jeezy.
Right.
And T.I. And 2 Chainz.
You got, damn, boy. How many favorites you got?
I mean, they're all my favorite. And Travis Scott. And then, but my favorite artist of all is J. Cole. 100%. Number one.
North Carolina.
All right. And did I name all why I like all the cities? I said Austin. I said that. I said Denver. I said Monterey, which is beautiful.
You said Atlanta. So yeah, you did.
Okay. And these are all places that I'm going to maybe possibly get more locations on me. No,
Please don't.
I'm not. I'm done.
Please don't.
No, I'm done.
Thank you.
So, Kevin, this has been a wonderful episode.
Yes.
Obviously, this is not the last. And
yeah, we got to talk about this contract in my compensation since we were talking about pay in H&R.
I don't know. We'll find out a way to compensate. Maybe with free drinks, like always.
I'm trying to watch my boyish figure.
Yes, free drinks in my house. That'll be your compensation.
Boo.
So, Kevin, your floor is yours again, like I always do for every episode. Shout outs and plugs. Obviously, you can plug whatever ventures and things you want the listeners to follow up with you, which I'll put in the show notes. And shout outs is whoever you just want to shout out to.
Well, this is always thank you for allowing me the privilege to come back on the podcast. Only really shout outs that I'll have is shout out to our frat brother Ray Spence and his band Say Leaf. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. They actually dropped the album not that long ago.
Let's please put that album in the show notes.
Yeah, it's just Say Leaf. They have some originals, some covers and everything. You can catch them up in Baltimore and D.C. They do gigs at Busboys and Poets in D.C. on Wednesdays, I believe. I think it's one Wednesday a month. But we can get those specifics and put them in the notes. That's really all my shout outs like that. HR questions. Y'all just, if you have them, hit up Phil. He knows how to get a hold of me. I will say a lot of questions that I do get are around benefits and different type of leaves of absences.
Yes.
I can go over those things at a high level. If you want to get real specific about what's going on in your organization, if you don't have your handbook, I can't get too specific because each company operates differently.
So you need to be access to the handbook.
I would need access to handbooks and everything like that so I can kind of see.
Gotcha.
Because usually when I get questions, they get real specific, and I can only go high level.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, that's really all I got.
Well, thank you for being on the episode.
Yeah.
I didn't use any of the sound effects.
Thank goodness. Don't you. Hold on.
Let's end this show on a high note.
Why, Jesus?
Hey, see you later. Thank you for being on the show. I just wanted to do that one.
Touche.
Yes. Thank you. And follow again. Thank you for listening to Positive Filter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.